great send-up. I want to just say that my experience with Los Angeles, and specifically this community, is kind of limited. I remember a few years back, this is going to really date me, I got a call from the booker for a program that a guy by the name of Dennis Miller used to do on HBO. Remember that? And she said, you know, we want you to come on the show, and you know, we're going to do a little sort of comedic routine about national security. And I said, I don't do comedy. And it isn't all that funny. And unfortunately, what I'm going to do tonight is probably not going to be all that party animal-ish either. But I want to just tell you some truths. Building on what Mike Kelly said, and what a tremendous breath of fresh air he is in Washington, and I hope you're going to help him go back this summer. I wanted to talk to you about something else that's going on. He talked a little bit about domestic politics, and I think we're all into domestic politics, God knows. And in fact, we're told that this next election is going to be all about domestic politics. Jobs, the economy, whether in fact we're able to sort of get the cart out of the ditch that Barack Obama has firmly put it in. And that's also, that's almost certainly true, that all of that is going to feature prominently. I'm going to go out on a very big limb here, folks. And I'm going to tell you that I think actually this election is going to turn on something different. It's going to turn on the fate of the free world, which is going to be hanging in the balance big time by this time next year. I hope I'm wrong about this. I mean, I really do hope I'm wrong about this, but I have to tell you, I think we are at the cusp of the next horrific war, most immediately for the survival of the state of Israel, and probably for an awful lot of other things that we care about. Larry Greenfield is one of those people who has been working tirelessly for many years to help people in this community and many others understand how much is at stake for us if we allow Israel to be destroyed or even endangered. And I pray that we'll recognize that in the days ahead, because it's coming. And in part, it's coming because of Barack Obama and what he has been doing to signal to our enemies and Israel not only a lack of resolve, but an impotence. Daylight between ourselves and our friends in Israel, that unfortunately the people who have wanted to destroy it for years and who would like to do the same to us interpret as an invitation to aggression. And at the same time, as you probably have noticed, we're looking at a region that is now increasingly in the hands of people who embrace something they call Sharia. And Larry was kind enough to mention a book we've done on the subject. I think we have copies of it here for you. The problem is that those guys, whether they're the Iranian strain of it or the Sunni strain of it, have one thing in common, and that is they believe it is God's will that we will be forced to submit to that program of Sharia. And so they see Israel as kind of a, I don't know, speed bump on the way to getting to the rest of us. And the last thing you want to do is to be signaling to them that they're right, that what you're actually now prepared to do is to submit. whether it's to submit by refusing to see the danger they represent, whether it's even to refuse to talk about the danger that they represent, or whether it's to refuse to do something about it. And what I really just wanted to share with you in these precious few minutes is how we are right now making decisions, as the congressman has said, that aren't just going to shape our kids' and our grandkids' future, they're going to shape our future. We're making decisions right now in Washington specifically that will determine whether every bad guy on the planet thinks it's their time. Whether it's the Sharia guys, who I'm particularly concerned about, or the Chinese, or the Russians, or Hugo Chavez, or any number of others who at this moment are reading us as weak, as irresolute, and as basically pulling back from our interests and our responsibilities. And what I just want to see is whether you guys, representing a community of people who probably per capita do more to shape what we think, what we say, what we do, than any other Americans in this country, whether you're going to let us make these choices, whether you're going to have us go down this road without doing everything you can to prevent those signals from being sent with, I'm afraid, the most dangerous, the most deadly of consequences. And if you are not prepared to let that happen, if you want to know what you can do, let me give you a couple of ideas. The congressman is able to tell you better than I, but in about 4 weeks' time, a super committee made up of a dozen of his colleagues in the House and a dozen guys on the Senate side are going to determine whether we eviscerate the national security capabilities of the United States. And I use that term advisedly. As you probably know, or maybe you don't, because you surely wouldn't have heard about it in the press, we've already arranged to take almost $500 billion out of the investment we make in our national security. And I'm talking about everything from paying our troops to ensuring they have the equipment they need to save our lives, as well as theirs, in some of the most dangerous places in the world. Whether they're going to be trained properly, whether they're going to be able to feed their families or house them, or have the other benefits that we've promised them if they were willing to go, in some cases now, did you know this? In the course of a career, 4, 5, even 6 times into combat for us? We're a precious close to adding to that $500 billion another $600 billion in cuts, in a kind of meat axe that will be used when the sequestration sword of Damocles falls as a result of the super committee not being able to get its act together, or the Congress not being able to approve it, or for some other reason, people deciding that's what we want to do. We want to make the defense capabilities of this country the bill payer for the wasteful spending we've been doing, for the bloated entitlements, for the other reckless actions of our government. And if you don't think that's a wise idea, if you don't think that you want to risk your life, or maybe your children's lives, or your grandchildren's lives on that bet, then I'd like to see you after this, because we need your help making sure the American people know that's exactly what's in store.